So, welcome everybody. I'm Cindy Myers, and welcome to tonight's intuitive listening webinar on self care as a routine. This has come up quite a bit lately uh, with clients and with myself too, on doing more self care during these stressful times, and just instead of doing it, we kind of tend to do it as needed. At least I'm guilty of that one. Uh, and I'm finding that it's more important now to do it very regularly and making it a routine. So that's what we'll talk about tonight. But before we get going, just if you're having a medical emergency, please call your doctor or 911. But what I can do for you is provide energy support and support your natural healing abilities. It can help calm you. It can just keep your energy flowing while you're seeking medical treatment. So it works nicely together. It's mind, body, spirit, remember. So I support all three, but I don't diagnose. So it's important to go to your doctor. All right. I thought we started with this last class, but webinar. I thought it's a good one again to start with because it's so important to understand how emotions work and how I sense them is in frequencies. I see it as frequencies. I experience it at frequencies. I also feel things in my body, but how I interpret it a lot is in my language, and interpreting the intuitive is through frequencies quite often. So you'll hear me use this terminology and how I've come up to learn more about emotions is that they too have their own frequency range. And negative emotions tend to move much slower and have lower frequencies. So they just kind of go very slow, and it's like the sine wave, and they move real slow. And the importance of that is it's easier for them to get stuck in our body because they're moving much slower. So so they just don't move through our body as fast and get yeah, they just don't, the higher frequency emotions, the love, the joy, the peace, uh, gratitude, all those higher frequencies, they move super fast. And so that when it moves faster, it's just harder to connect to something else, right? It just runs right past anything that might uh, want to connect to it. And the reason for that is if you break it down into molecules, because emotions are just chemicals that our body creates. So if you break it into their molecular formulas, it's something that's moving slower. It gloms on harder to each other. Think of ice. Think of water in general and the various states of water. So water is more neutral and and it holds together fairly well, the molecules, because it's a solid, but it also is flowing, right? So it's moving. Whereas if you heat it up and the molecules move really fast, right, they can't hold on together, they separate and it releases in steam. So if you're boiling water, that's when you start seeing steam. So it's because the molecules are separating. And then conversely, if it's super cold, those molecules can really latch on because they're moving much more slowly, right? Those molecules are moving slowly. They attach to each other, now it's really solid, and they hold together very, very well as long as it's below 32 degrees, right? So emotions are quite similar like that. So when they're moving much slower, they have a chance to attach to like-minded molecules in our body. So if we have grief or fear or anger that we're experiencing, they're more likely to get stuck in our body, causing a blockage. And so all our natural flow has to go around those areas. And and so that's why when I have you tune, especially during the healing circles, which we will have later this evening, I like to tune you to the love we're above, love, joy, gratitude, peace, and calm. Any of these higher frequencies, because those are coming in, they're helping to break up some of the lower frequencies, but they also trigger the parasympathetic response system. So we're going to get into that. But I really wanted you to just kind of really absorb this chart. And it's really great for later if you stay on for the healing circle. But you can see how slow, how um, much stronger or lower frequencies the shame, the guilt, the grief, the fear, the anger are compared to peace and calm, compared to joy. Look how much difference. These are magnitude stronger, by the way. These aren't just 10 times stronger or 100 times. These are to the power of. So it's magnitude stronger. So just a small dose of joy can go way further than your anger state. That's why by taking a couple minutes in the self care that we're talking about and focusing on these higher frequency emotions, can really be powerful and very healing and help us through very challenging times. And by making this a routine in accessing these higher frequencies, can be incredibly beneficial to our daily life and in dealing with stress. Okay. So let's talk about the fight or flight response system. As we were talking about those lower frequencies, when we're triggered by or when we get angry, fearful, all these negative emotions, guess what? They have a component of fear. And when we talk about fear, we're talking about the fight or flight response system. And that fight or flight response system is very reactionary. We just react. We don't. It's designed. It is absolutely designed to just react. You don't want to think about what you need to do in an emergency situation. You need to react quickly. So, in a true emergency situation, that wants to trigger fear. Something is happening. Somebody's running a red light. You do not want to be thinking about all the various steps you need to take. You need to react quickly and slam on your brakes. Okay, so it bypasses a lot of things. But guess what? Day to day stress, and we have a lot of definitions of stress, but our day-to-day stress can is also part of this fight or flight response system. We call it stress, and it's such an overused term, but really it is toxic. And we understand that. All pretty much everybody knows how bad it is for us to be in stress. And that's where ulcers come from, stomach issues, heart, high blood pressure. Uh, I mean, headaches, poor sleep, all these different things can happen when we're in a high stress state, right? And the causes of it can be, pick a card. There's lots of reasons in our day-to-day life that we're under stress. But remember, it still follows the same system as if a tiger is jumping out at us. It's releasing a ton of adrenaline and a lot of other chemicals that aren't really very healthy for us, because again, the really only purpose those chemicals were designed was for us to react from way back when in the cave period, when we were first evolving into humans, and our survivability was really dependent on that fight or flight response system. We had to be able to react quickly. But today's stress, we don't run, we don't fight to survive. So those chemicals really get stuck. Remember, I talked about they're very slow moving. They're fast coming in. They're slow about leaving. So if you can get them to leave, so they're easy to get stuck in our body, and they do a lot of things to our body. So when we are in that triggered stress state, one of the main things that really gets turned down is, all our non-essential systems get turned down to minimum. It's like turning our heat down to the stove top down to low. So your digestive system gets turned down to low. A lot of other non-essential systems that our body uses turns down to low. All the energy goes into that run or fight state. And if we don't run or fight, it doesn't have we don't burn it off. So it just stays in our system, and it's very toxic. And if it's non-stop, if we spend, if we're awake for 18 hours a day, whatever it might be, and 99% of it, 90% of it, 80% of that day is in a stress state. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of adrenaline. That's a lot of negative emotions to be pouring into our bodies, right? That's a lot of toxic energy. And again, while we're eating, our stomach is turned down and our digestive system is turned down to low. And so you're not digesting your food very well, which leads then You're not absorbing the nutrients as well. Our body needs those nutrients that you would normally get, even if you have a very healthy diet. You're not getting it out of there. So you can develop all sorts of physical issues, and then of course then there's emotional issues that come across from it. The depression, the anxiety, panic attacks, all sorts of negative emotions. And our lizard brain and our perception of how we see things is because we're in our lizard brain. The lizard brain is what controls the fight or flight response system. And so again, how it sees things is very narrow because it's trying to decide, do I run? Do I fight? Do I freeze? And those are pretty much the three choices it makes. And so it is perceiving things from a very skewed and very narrow perception. So, so it makes us out of balance, completely out of balance. Our whole system is totally out of balance if we are in a lot of stress. Even if we're in some stress, it still can put us out of balance. And therefore, this is why we really need to work on self-care. So, but if you're like me, I don't have hours to go and meditate for an hour or two. It's just not going to happen in my life. I might be able to take snatches of it, but guess what? Those little snatches are powerful because remember that chart and how powerful, how many magnitudes stronger that joy is, that gratitude is, that love is. It's way up there compared to all those others. So getting 2 minutes of that magnitude stronger chemical into our body can help balance things out and help get that energy flowing to help us deal with all that stress energy that we can get through the day. So what we can do. And I'll tell you though, when lizard brain is on, we don't realize it. It talks to us like in our normal voice. So it's really hard to tell that lizard brain is telling us what to do and making we're making our decisions from that part of our brain, that reactionary part of the brain. So if we can realize we're in it, and it's one of the, again, realize how do I know it? Well, again, not sleeping good, maybe. My stomach could be a mess, upset stomach and just not digesting food. It just sits there, get heartburn more regularly. Anything digestive related, chances are you've been in lizard brain for a while. What else? Oh, I'm crabby. I get really crabby if I am in a more stressed out state and I'm not keeping up with enough day-to-day self-care. I get snappy with my animals, things that going back to that out of balance, that little picture where you saw it out of balance. When you look at a situation, when an experience happens, and I would normally laugh at my dogs because of their antics or the behavior. If I instead snap at them, that's lizard brain. I'm angry. It reacted in an anger state. If I'm not in a stressed out state, they can do the exact same thing. And I think, oh, isn't that cute? Isn't that silly? So of course they're confused as heck because one day they get hollered at and the next day, oh, aren't you cute? And they did the exact same thing, right? So my perception is very different. So if I get snappy and crabby, because that's not my normal state, and especially with my animals. So if I find myself doing that, then good chance that I'm in lizard brain and I need to start taking care of doing more for myself. So what we can do, it has to be easy because when lizard brain is on, it's reactionary. It's hard to get ourselves out of it. So the tips into these tools have to be super easy because we're trying to override and interrupt that fight or flight response system that really wants to take over. So the first thing to do is breathe. How simple is that, right? Breathe. But it needs to be a full breath. So try and slow your breathing down. Take some nice, slow, deep breaths. And I like to do the breathing in fours. That's a nice, simple thing to remember. So you just take in a slow, deep breath on a count of four. Just, don't hold your breath, but as easy and gentle as you can, take in a slow, deep breath on a count of four. Hold it for a count of four. Release on a count of four. Wait for, and then do it again. And if you do that whole cycle of taking in a deep breath on a count of four, hold for four, release for four, do that 4 times. By the time you go through that whole cycle 4 times, you've lowered your blood pressure probably quite a bit. I've known people that have gone to their, have had doctor's appointments or gone to the dentist and they're taking their blood pressure and maybe they just run in or they're nervous about it, their appointment, and they take their blood pressure and it's a little high and they, oh, that's not good. And they say, oh, can you just give me a second? Give me 2 minutes. And they do the breathing in fours. And then they say, okay, now take my blood pressure. And it drops sometimes a good 10 points. It's amazing. I've done it myself in before I had a root canal once. And I couldn't believe how low my blood pressure was because I was nervous. So it really does work in lowering your blood pressure, calming you down, getting those calming chemicals starting to flow into your body. Again, we're wanting to trigger the parasympathetic response system, which is the calming system. So start with breathing. And then as you're breathing, as you're doing that cycle of breathing, maybe you do the whole cycle or in the middle of it. Once you get it going, add in something you're grateful for. Simple. Doesn't have to have anything to do with anything. You can even just use the word because you know what? Our master chef in our brain knows our words. Our words actually matter. And so there's an emotion, a chemical component to even our thoughts, right? Our words that we choose. So our master chef brain goes, oh, gratitude. I know that recipe. That's a generic one. You want the generic one? Fine. We'll put it, we'll brew that one out and send that through your body. And that those chemicals of that generic gratitude is starting to go through your body. If you have a favorite memory or something you really feel strongly about that you're grateful for, that might be even a more potent version of gratitude. But if you can't access it, just say the word. It still works. So now you're adding in again that high frequency emotion into your system in addition to your breath. And you do that, if you do that for about 2 minutes, you're going to see that you're starting to come out of that fear state. You're going to start being able to access your bigger thinking brain to solve different problems. So again, you're getting possibly out of looking at things in that very narrow window and start being able to see, oh, well, maybe I could do it a different way. maybe my dogs really didn't tick me off as much as I thought. Remember yesterday they made me laugh at it. And I was like, oh, I'm just being crabby. That's me. It's my perception. They didn't do anything wrong. Okay, let me just breathe. or a whole different situation that I might be stuck on my hamster wheel. My brain is in a hamster wheel mode where I just keep running over the same problems or had a difficult discussion or read an this is the one that happens a lot. I read a post on Facebook or something that irritated the heck out of me. How often does that happen to us all these days? And I just keep repeating that over and over. Yeah, you know what? You're in lizard brain. Perception is skewed. Breathe. Do some gratitude. Get myself out of it. Clear that energy and go, oh, I don't want to waste my time. I'd rather think of something more positive, something that I can do in action. And this is when I like having a project, something that I like to do, preferably. But even if it isn't, if it's one of my trigger points, I hate, I do not enjoy bookkeeping stuff, and I like to procrastinate. Procrastination is lizard brain working. So if I start procrastinating over a project that I don't enjoy doing, like bookkeeping, especially around tax time, guess what? I do my breathing, do my gratitudes, and then I use the phrase, what would it take? What would it take to get going on this project? Because you know what, my taxes, my bookkeeping, getting ready for taxes is stressing me out now, right? And my hamster wheel, and then I beat myself up if I don't get it done. Oh my goodness, all sorts of negative emotions get going around all that energy or that project that needs to get done. And so if I do the breathing, do the gratitudes, and then the phrase, what would it take to start doing my bookkeeping for this project? And then I can start problem solving because I do the 2 minutes and getting out of the lizard brain and getting more ideas. And I go, oh, what would it take? Oh, you know what? I can take out some receipts. I need to enter in my receipts into my spreadsheet. That's a job I can do pretty quickly. Let me spend a half hour doing some book, some receipts, or just organize my receipts. Maybe I need to just do that. But again, now I'm breaking the project down into something doable and task oriented, and I have a better shot at getting it done. I'm not trying to do the whole big thing that's too overwhelming. I'm just looking at what can I do to get started. And a lot of times it's just getting started, right? Because I'm a procrastinator. I'm avoiding. It's the freeze mode of the fight or flight. So getting myself started is all it takes. And then once I get going, I can keep going with it. Or I just do what I say. For a half hour, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go off and do some other things that I enjoy more. But that's how we can do self-care. It's just doing the breathing, the gratitudes, and what would it take if you're stuck? Okay. But if you just do the first two things, do those regularly and throughout the day. Again, you don't have to spend an hour. It takes 2 minutes. If you do that 2 minutes regularly throughout the day, again, powerful energies coming into your system that will help move things along and you get out of that toxic, toxic stuff. And again, you're triggering your parasympathetic response system, which what turns on your stomach again. It turns up the heat so you can digest food. You know what I highly recommend if you do have stomach issues is when you go to sit down to eat, really make it intentional. Take a few moments before you begin eating. Sit down, take those few breaths. Slow down your thinking because you're on a go. If you're like most of us, we're go. We got to quick make a meal and then go off to something else, right? We just don't sit down usually to just enjoy our food. But you sit down, maybe feel some gratitude. Thank you for this beautiful food that I'm about to eat. Or again, doesn't even have to be about food. Just put some gratitude chemicals into your body, then eat, because now you've turned on your system so it can start digesting your food more fully. So if you have stomach issue, please do that before you eat your meals and just breathe as slow things down. Just slow it down. Put your fork down, do some breathing. And breathe a couple times. And then take a bite. You will digest your food much more thoroughly by doing that. I'm going to take my own advice on that. All right. So if you need some help with this, if you have some trapped emotions or need help coaching for your specific stress issues, because again, lizard brain is very powerful and it's really hard to know exactly how to break it and when to interrupt it. And is this lizard brain at all talking? So if you're not familiar yet with your own lizard brain and you need some help, I recommend the starter package. I can coach you through your own specific issues. We'll clear a bunch of trapped emotions. I'll coach you again how to use these tools. You get to practice with them. And then you get a 15-minute follow-up. And that follow-up is really critical in keeping your energy moving forward, getting comfortable creating the new habit, this new habit of self-care. Okay? And these tools are all about self-care. So that's just, if you haven't worked with me before, I recommend that this package. If you have worked with me before, you might want to do the 15-minute. I have a package of 15-minute sessions of this. Get rid of a lot of those negative emotions. You'd be amazed how much lighter you feel. And if you haven't had an experience of what it feels like to have some trapped emotions removed, I'll be doing some demos in just a minute or two. So we'll do that for you. Okay, upcoming events. This Saturday I'm going to be doing a healing circle at noon Pacific time. And then I'm not teaching webinar next Wednesday, but I'm just going to do a healing circle. So at 6, same time as what we started the webinar tonight, we'll be doing just an online healing circle. So no webinar, no animals or emotions or intuitive listening webinar. We'll just go straight into a healing circle. So that's next Wednesday, and then the following Saturday will be another healing circle. Just looking at my calendar, making sure I got the right dates. All righty. So with that, I guess I will stop. Again, we can do some demos if you'd like. If you haven't had any experience with getting it cleared, or you would like something cleared, we got a very small group today. You can raise your hand or type it in the chat if you'd like. Otherwise, we can go straight into the healing circle. If you have anything going on, both physical or emotional, now's a good time to get something cleared if you'd like. Anybody? Okay, Gail. Mm, I know we were just talking, Gail, so I know you can do it. Hi, Gail.
Hi, Cindy. I just wanted to check in on the lower back again.
Okay.
See what kind of comes up.
Do you have anything going on with your left hip too?
Yes, I do.
Okay. 'Cause that's what came in really fast just now. Because your left hip is a left hippie discomfort.
Yep.
And that can I'm sorry, I'm getting information coming in at the same time as I'm trying to talk to you. If your hip is out alignment, that can affect the lower back. So if the symptom is not where you feel the pain is not necessarily where the source of the problem is. So it might be why I'm getting it in the hip, is where the source of the lower back is coming from the hip, actually.
Okay.
Oh, I'm seeing, what am I seeing? Sorry, I have to close my eyes for a moment because I'm trying to see. Oh, your pelvis is tilted. Okay. Which is why there's pressure on the, which way is it tilted? Okay. So it's tilted more like this. Okay, so there's pelvis is tilted more angled. Is it rotated at all? Oh, okay. So it's tilted and rotated back slightly. Yeah, oh, that's what I felt. So that's probably why your back is out. It's actually pelvis related, which is pitching on the hip joint and causing lower back. Good. Try not to diagnose, but this is what I'm seeing. So,
Yeah, makes sense.
oh, so let me clear. And a lot of these are trapped emotions that can push these things out because, again, they were originally chemicals that were flowing through our body and then they get stuck. I don't know what I see them as bubbles, like little bubbles, but I don't know if that's really it. I have seen x-rays before on people and you can kind of see a shadow and then I release stuff, they get another x-ray and it's gone. So,
Wow.
and then they say, well, it was probably just a shadow. I go, maybe not. Or a trapped emotion.
Surprise.
All right, so let's see what we can clear. Well, I did feel a pop just now in your lower back before I cleared anything. So sometimes we get a release just by acknowledging its existence. Oh, pride. Release that. Anxiety, clearing that. Lost. Clearing that. Okay, so I'm feeling a little lighter in the hip area. It's still there, but it's not as much. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah. It's still there, but definitely I felt some movement there.
Um, clearing defensiveness. Lack of control. Clearing that. Better. Kind of coming down the sciatica a little bit, but it's better.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely feel that sciatica too. But it's better.
There's something else. Abandonment. Clearing that. Yeah. I'm getting to with the abandonment of not just you being abandoned, but the unconscious feeling of something you're abandoning.
Hmm.
So something that you feel like you're abandoning.
As part of the transition I'm going through.
Probably is my guess. So
Yeah,
you might
that makes sense.
journal about that or think about that, ponder on it, pull the thread a little bit on how that might be impacting you because it's been
Okay.
unconscious of not just being abandoned, but what what do you feel like you're abandoning by these changes? So if you need help, of course, you know who to reach out to.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And hopefully that opens that up a little bit more for healing. And of course, during the healing circle, we'll put that all in the center of our virtual circle.
Thank you.
Anybody else want anything cleared before we get going on the healing circle? Karen. All right. There you are. Hi, Karen.
Okay. Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. So lately in the mornings, this has been very strange, but when I get up and my feet hit the floor, it's like my feet have been retracted at night. And so it's painful when I walk. And the more I walk, the more they stretch out. But it's like right in the middle of my feet, bottom. I can't describe it, between the ball and the heel, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And
Sounds
I
like
don't know
planters.
it hurts.
Yeah. Sounds like planters. Fasciitis. Um, so, um, but all of that is started usually by trapped emotions. So we can clear that, or at least see if we can't help clear that up. There's some good
Thank you.
stretching exercises you might want to do before you step down.
Okay.
You might look into that. Look up planters
Okay.
on Google. See if that doesn't help some of the exercises. Because I've had, if it is the same thing, I've had that myself and about tip over. So it's like, ow. It can be very slow. But when I first started learning how to clear these trapped emotions, I was practicing on myself, and I felt a pop at one point of a release, and it went away. So it was totally trapped emotion.
Wow.
But I had to release a lot of emotions. So
Wow. Okay.
I don't want to tell you how many I released in my foot. But it's also sometimes related about fear of moving forward when it's something about our feet. We're kind of feel stuck. So it can be about being afraid to move forward in life, or again,
Mhm.
maybe changes are happening and we don't want to, so we want to put the brakes on. We're just not wanting to move. So you can change again our wording on things, that hamster wheel, the stress subconscious thinking. So we want to override that and change our thoughts to, oh, I do want to step forward in life, and I'm confident in moving forward. So
Sure.
any kind of a mantra that feels right to you, think about that and
Okay.
start repeating that in your mind. that will help break that up too. So let's clear some emotions though. I'm tapping in.
Okay, thank you.
Unworthy is the first emotion, clearing that. Is it both feet or
Yes.
is one worse than the other? Getting more clogged
Right
energy
one.
in the right.
Yeah.
So right is left brain is doing, is the doing side of things.
Mhm.
So either doing too much, which is quite often the case,
Mhm.
or we're stuck in doing something. I don't know which is the case. If it's so right foot, and it can be different trapped emotions on each foot. It doesn't, because we're dealing with left brain, right brain. There's different issues associated to it. So you will attract
okay.
different emotions that
Okay.
again, those frequencies, they act like a magnet. And those emotions that have a certain frequency, they act like a magnet. And so what gets stuck in there will attract similar emotions, which means similar issues that go into that foot. And then the other foot would have a different issue. Not always, but usually it's a slightly different energy component, because in the left foot, and actually in the left foot, I'm feeling it more up high, like on the top of the foot. So, but that's right brain, which is your creative side, working on your authentic self, but also maybe some creative insecurity of some sort. So that's left foot, which is right brain. Anyway, okay, let's go back to clearing. Failure. Releasing that. Side was that on? Right foot. Okay. Rejection. And that's left foot. I'm releasing that. Despair. Two is left foot. I want to do little circles with my ankles to try and get the energy moving. We might do that a little bit. Try and get things moving. Now I'm getting more on the left side than I was the right. Interesting. Again, it keeps going up on the top. It's like the little, the little muscles between all the little bones feel like the, all the little bones feel a little compressed. Maybe because of the tendons getting too contracted, squishing everything. But I'm feeling it a lot on the top, and it feels very tight, going up the calf and everything. I don't know if that sounds familiar or accurate. Unsupported during that. Yeah. It's a little shift. And it feels better. It's the discomfort is going down, at least on me. Does that make sense, Karen? Are you there? Did we lose you? Oh, we might have lost Karen. I see her name still there, but I don't hear her. Oh, try you again. Are you there, Karen? No. Okay. Well, we'll move on then. And hopefully she comes back. Janet said she'd like some clearing, and then we can go into the healing circle. Hmm. Uh, Defensiveness, clearing that. Overwhelm, clearing that. Shame, clearing that. Discouragement, clearing that. Insecurity, clearing that. Another defensiveness, clearing that. Some depression, we'll clear that. Oh, here we go. So hopefully that helps ease some of the things for you, Jen. If you have something more specific, might want to type that into the chat. Oh, Bruce also would like some clearings. Okay, Bruce. Let's see what we can do for Bruce. Just scanning Bruce here. Dread, releasing that. Overwhelm, releasing that. Conflict, releasing that. Frustration, releasing that. Vulnerability, releasing that. Guilt, releasing that. Peeved, releasing that. That emotion always cracks me up. Sorry. I just like the word peeved. Let me do another overwhelm. Clearing that. That's better. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay. So, okay, good. Alrighty, and Janet wrote, "Thank you. Feel a bit looser in my head." Good. Got those rocks moving. my one rock in me. In my case, my one little rock left. Oh, Karen's power kept flickering. So, oh, my energy must be overwhelming her power, and she lost the internet connection. All right, that happens. Yes, oh, the energy can do that. I've had some interesting experiences with my energy and electronics. It's better now. I haven't had this for a while, but the electric doors at like in a grocery store that open automatically when you go in, they would never see me. So I'd go up and, hello, open up. You sometimes had to wait till somebody goes in or out and then they open it for me. Or the hand washing, the automatic hand washing things in places. And I'd be trying, where's the water? Where's the water? Because they never see me. Or then the paper towel. You're trying to go, touch me the paper towel. Oh, the heck with it. It's electronics do not like my energy at all. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.